Hello friends, I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope everything is wonderful and I hope you had a good weekend. I made a thing this weekend. I made this little thing. This little decoration that sat in my head for a while and I finally came down here and made it. And this little guy is kind of a physical representation of something that's been wrong with me for a very long time, and I would like to figure out how to fix it. And I went to see a counselor last year to talk about it, and that is, like, I feel that I have a lack of confidence, and the lack of confidence keeps me from doing things a lot of the time. But I went to see this counselor last year, if you remember. It was around Christmas time, and I talked to her about that. I talked to her about, me, who I am, where I'm coming from, and the end result of those sessions with her was she thought I was doing just fine. She thought that I was handling things okay. I was, I go to work, I do my work. She thought that I was a very high functioning worrier, and that's probably true. But she felt like, in her professional opinion, a professional counselor's opinion, I was doing fine. Like there was nothing to be really shaken or alarmed by. And so I've tried to live my life I've tried to live with that kind of as a assurance, or as a I don't want to say an excuse because I don't want to use that word, but I've lived with that as a approval of myself or for myself, so that I could self-approve the things that I do or the things that I don't do, which is the key to all of this. This little guy is 3 pieces of wood. I dug around in my scrap bin and I found some pieces of old fence slats. These are just rough sawn pickets that you can buy for like $1 a piece. They're treated, so they're really not that healthy to work with. But I've kept some pieces like this around because they make great, I have these little boxes up here that I keep stuff in. They make great stuff like that. So I pulled 3 of those out, laid them side by side. I got out my little sketchbook. I drew a single pumpkin and said, that's good enough. Then I redrew it on here, traced it out, cut it on a bandsaw, cut some pieces for the back, stapled it all together, painted it, sanded it. I have a finished decoration. This guy sat in my head for a couple of weeks. My kid asked me if we could decorate for Halloween. I said sure. We went looking for Halloween decorations, and just nothing that was out there was really speaking to me. It's all kind of this weird, I don't know, just weird stuff. And I wanted something a little bit more whimsical, and so I had this idea, to make a rustic, painted and then sand off the high spots, kind of like almost folk art pumpkin. I had this idea for a while, and then this weekend I had some time. I did a bunch of yard work, and I had that energy going from bagging leaves and cutting grass, and I was like, I'm just going to go make this real quick. And so I did, and it was nothing. It came out of my head. I went, yep, got it, did it, bam. I knew exactly how I was going to do it, and I got it done. And for stuff like this, I can do that all day long. Last week was my daughter's, or 2 weeks ago, was my daughter's 16th birthday. And I usually get her Spotify Premium. And Spotify Premium, I get her the gift card. And I wanted to give it to her in something nice, so I ended up making a walnut box. I mitered the corners. I cut dados in the walnut to receive plywood panels. Then I cut the box open. Then I put a liner of walnut on the inside to hold the lid in place. Then I had my friend 3D print a leather stamp, and I leather stamped her initials into it and made it like a little brand logo that I put on the box. I made this really nice box, and I just did it. Just came down here, I was like, yep, cut these up, done. And I could make boxes like that all day long. But when it comes to things that, for some reason, bigger things, and I don't necessarily mean I mean, making a box that I made, the thing that I made her for her birthday is a pretty complex woodworking project. It requires me to cut very accurate dados to receive the inner panels. It requires me to cut very accurate 45-degree miters at very accurate measurements to make this box be square. It requires very accurate cutting and measuring of the inside walnut liner so that the lid will fit, and then cutting a slight chamfer to help the lid go on. It's a very, very technical process that I think would be daunting if I hadn't made stuff like that before. But when it comes to things like writing a book, I have 1,000 story ideas that are stuck in my head. This was stuck in my head for 2 weeks, and the only reason I didn't make it was just, I think, laziness. Because I knew I could just come down here and in an hour I could have a Halloween decoration. This box took me a couple of days' time because it had to dry and stuff and then cut the lid and all that. But when it comes to doing something like writing a book or building a desk for M, I get hung up on all of the parts that I'm not sure how to accomplish, and then I just don't do. I do none of it. And that really frustrates me. Because, you know, if somebody said, I want one of those pumpkins, I go, great, and I'd come down here and make a pumpkin. But if somebody says, I want you to make me a bench, I freeze up because, like, I don't know, oh, you want me to make you something really nice and finished and make it look good. This is not supposed to be finished and look good. It's supposed to look rough and rustic. So I can get away with just slapping it together. I can't get away with slapping a book together. You know, I can't get away with slapping a desk together. And I think that for some reason I perceive those as something much more difficult, when in reality I would challenge and say that the desk that I made for M is much less technically difficult than the box that I made for my daughter for her birthday. Much less technically difficult. It really just requires cutting some panels and screwing them together. But it was this overwhelming challenge, whereas this was just a box that I could throw together. I don't know what that is. I don't know where it's, you know, something is stuck there, and I don't know how to unstuck it. Been working on it, though. I've been working on it a lot, and I've been trying to live with the assurance that it's okay, that I'm okay, that what I'm doing is not wrong, and that that I have a sort of that I'm in control, that I'm not just a complete, I guess, loser. So I don't know. You know, it's been 2 years now since I stopped taking the antidepressants, and that feels wonderful. You know, me and Em actually had a really big conversation about it today because we've talked about how she perceived me as I was coming off of that medication and who the person that I was for that time frame that I was coming off of it versus who I am right now. And I think that I really like who I am right now because before, I would still get stuck, but I didn't have the mental energy or the perseverance or the whatever, caring. I didn't have the attitude to do something about it. Now I get stuck and I get frustrated. And I think that's a good thing. The medication stole my ability to be frustrated. I think being frustrated with myself is a good thing because it ultimately pushes me. So maybe if I can just crack out a pumpkin, maybe I can crack out a story. Maybe I can make a functional piece of furniture. Maybe I can be something better than I am right now, even though it seems like a daunting challenge. We'll see. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking and commenting and subscribing and being amazing friends, wonderful people. I really appreciate you, and I will see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know to sound smart is cull. It is a verb meaning to gather, amass, or collect. Consumer behavior data was culled from online surveys and focus groups. Cull. C-U-L-L.